brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Major League Baseball All-Star Game. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game, also known as the Midsummer Classic, is an annual professional baseball game sanctioned by Major League Baseball, contested between the All-Stars from the American League and National League, currently selected by fans for starting fielders, by managers for pitchers, and by managers and players for reserves. The game usually occurs on either the second or third Tuesday in July, and is meant to mark a symbolic halfway point in the MLB season. Both of the major leagues share an All-Star break, with no regular season games scheduled on the day before, or 2 days after the All-Star Game itself. Some additional events and festivities associated with the game take place each year close to and during this break in the regular season. No official MLB All-Star Game was held in 1945, including the official selection of players due to World War II travel restrictions. For a brief period in MLB history, players were named to the AL roster and NI roster for 2 All-Star Games held during the 1959, 1960, 1961, and 1962 seasons, but this format was subsequently abandoned. The 88th All-Star Game is scheduled to be held on July 11, 2017, at Marlins Park, home of the NL East Division's Miami Marlins. Venue. The first All-Star Game was held on July 6, 1933 as part of the 1933 World's Fair in Chicago at Comiskey Park, and was initiated by Arch Ward, then sports editor for the Chicago Tribune. Initially intended to be a one-time event, its great success resulted in making the game an annual one. The venue for the All-Star Game is chosen by Major League Baseball. The criteria for the venue are subjective, generally cities with new ballparks, and those who have not hosted the game in a long time, or ever, tend to get selected. Over time, this has resulted in certain cities being selected more often at the expense of others, mainly due to timely circumstances. Cleveland Stadium and the original Yankee Stadium are tied for the most times a venue has hosted the All-Star Game, both hosting 4 games. New York City has hosted more than any other city, having done so 9 times in 5 different stadiums. At the same time, the New York Mets failed to host for 48 seasons, while the Los Angeles Dodgers have not hosted since 1980. Among current Major League teams, the Washington Nationals and the Tampa Bay Rays have yet to host the All-Star Game. After 2018, the Tampa Bay area will remain the only city with a Major League franchise that has yet to host, because the Nationals will host in 2018. And the Marlins in 2017. In the first 2 decades of the game there were 2 pairs of teams that shared ballparks, located in Philadelphia and St. Louis. This led to some shorter than usual gaps between the use of those venues. The Cardinals hosted the game in 1940, and the Browns in 1948. The Athletics hosted the game in 1943, and the Phillies in 1952. The venues traditionally alternate between the American League and National League every year. This tradition has been broken several times. The first time was in 1951, when the AL Detroit Tigers were chosen to host the annual game as part of the city's 250th birthday. The second was when the 2-game format during the 1959-1962 seasons resulted in the AL being 1 game ahead in turn. This was corrected in 2007, when the NL San Francisco Giants were the host for the 2007 All-Star Game, which also set up the 2008 game to be held at the AL's Yankee Stadium in its final season. It was broken again for the 2016 All-Star Game, when the San Diego Padres hosted at Petco Park, and will be in 2017. When the Miami Marlins host at Marlins Park, and again in 2018 when the Washington Nationals host at Nationals Park. The home team has traditionally been the league in which the host franchise plays its games. However, the American League was designated the home team for the 2016 All-Star Game, despite its being played in Petco Park, home of the National League's San Diego Padres. This decision was made following the announcement of Miami as host for the 2017 All-Star Game, which will be the third consecutive year in which the game is hosted in a National League ballpark. The NI will also be the home team in 2018 at Nationals Park. Selection of managers and coaches. Since 1934, the managers of the game are the managers of the previous year's league pennant winners and World Series clubs. The coaching staff for each team is selected by its manager. This honor is given to the manager, not to the team, so it is possible that the All-Star manager could no longer be with the team with which he won. This happened in 2003, when Dusty Baker managed the National League team despite having moved from the National League champion San Francisco Giants to the Chicago Cubs. This has also included situations where the person is no longer actively managing a team. For the first All-Star Game, intended as a one-time event, Connie Mack and John McGraw were regarded as baseball's venerable managers, and were asked to lead the American and National League teams, respectively. McGraw came out of retirement for that purpose. Dick Williams resigned after managing the Oakland Athletics to the 1973 World Series. In 1974, he became manager of the California Angels, whose uniform he wore for the game. Tony La Russa, who managed the World Series champion St. Louis Cardinals in 2011, and retired after the season, came back to manage the National League in 2012. In 1979, Bob Lemon managed the American League team after having been fired by New York Yankees owner George Steinbrenner. Lemon led the Yankees to the 1981 World Series, but did not make it to the '82 All-Star Game as manager after again being fired by Steinbrenner. So Billy Martin, skipper of the 1981 AL runner-up Oakland Athletics, led the All-Star squad. There have been some exceptional cases where the usual rule was abandoned. After the 1964 season and the World Series, the managers, Johnny Keane of the St. Louis Cardinals and Yogi Berra of the New York Yankees, both left their teams and found new jobs in the other league. Keane was hired to manage the Yanks, and Berra became a player-coach with the New York Mets, the Philadelphia Phillies, and Cincinnati Reds had finished in a second-place tie in the NL. The Chicago White Sox had finished second in the AL. Cincinnati's manager, Fred Hutchinson, had died in the off-season, so Gene Mauch of the Phillies and Al Lopez of the White Sox were chosen to be the managers for the 1965 All-Star Game. Because of the season-ending 1994-95 MLBPA strike, where the season was abandoned without official league champions, the 1995 game featured the unofficial league champions, the managers of the clubs leading their respective leagues' won-loss records. Buck Showalter of the New York Yankees and Felipe Alou of the Montreal Expos for the All-Star Game. Thank you for watching, brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.